What is radically different at the Chicago Center is the students are able to talk and interact directly with the subjects that they're studying. So when they come back to the text that they've been reading or back to a discussion, they're not just dealing in the abstract. They're dealing with both the material and the content that they've learned about, let's say, gentrification, but they're also incorporating a certain emotional content into the learning process, which comes directly from what we call the first voice, those people who are most directly being impacted by the subject that they're studying.
I think one of the things that makes Scott a really great teacher is that he does what normal professors do in that he's encouraging, but he asks questions that really make you think.
Having a class with Scott is really beneficial because when we go to these different places around the city, he always has connections to a leader in that particular community. So then it feels like I have a stronger connection with the community itself. And it's really awesome to experience that kind of class.
You have issues and he always has questions of why or how, and questions that I never would have thought of. Questions that he really wants to understand because he's a sociologist and he is almost like an expert of the sociology in Chicago because he's been here so long, he knows everything, and he's still wanting to learn.
I walked into the wrong classroom one day and Scott was there giving a presentation. I heard the presentation, I was like, I want to go to this program so bad, I don't care how much it costs.
I have a lot of memories of meeting interesting people and learning how to navigate the city and the CTA. I think that I have equally important memories of exploring the city as well as feeling engaged in the classes that are being taught.
Just feeling like I was a part of a real person's life. That is the difference of the Chicago Center. You know you are part of real city living, a real person's life, not just sitting in a classroom with your book with your teacher at the front of the room. That was a big defining moment.
It's a city that I have great affinity for. Its diversity in terms of the activism that exists there, in terms of the arts and culture, in terms of the political mobilization. All of that is something that I grew to love in other places because in a way, those seeds were planted during my time in Chicago. There's something magical about living, working, and studying the context in which you find yourself.
The center is the best way to teach some kid that went to college about the world. It forces you to take off your perceptions and put them in your book bag or leave them at home and go fill up your cup with a wealth of new information.
To this day, I am still living in Chicago and doing things that my friends know I want to experience and I value experiencing, and hearing other perspectives and going to cultural events, and that's in a large part due to the center.
Center talks about the city being your textbook. For me, it was a combination of meeting people who lived and worked in the city and were committed to things like social justice and equity of social resources and experiencing the culture of the city. All of that coming together at the same time is what makes the experience life-changing.
Coming to the center, everything was challenged, and now looking back on it, thank God, because it needed to be challenged. I'm much more confident to question and to not accept things at face value.
This idea that for me, real learning was not necessarily a casual affair, but it involved conflict. That sometimes through conflict, you are introduced to data and information, and you use your experiences, and oftentimes you have to take a different path.
The center proposed was about how to respect people and nurture them and give them support. If you support people in the effort to respect other people, it creates space in the system, and then everybody can
I remember
flourish.
a variety of experiences we had, and the introduction to many different cultures, different religions, and different neighborhoods.
It's actually scary to me to think, what if I hadn't come to Chicago? Where would I have ended up?